So if someone were to tell me that I'm fired from Marvel movies, I will feel proud of what we made. And yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
Do you stay up at night
missing her?
Missing Wanda?
No, I don't. I think it's been almost 10 years of playing her, and I've loved it. I think the reason why I am not like calling Kevin Feige like every day with ideas is because I'm really proud of what we were able to do. I think Wandavision was really surprising, and I really am just trying to figure out how to load up other films and characters so it becomes less about the Marvel of it all.
Welcome back, everyone. Some of you just started asking me about the Scarlet Witch news you've been seeing. Some websites recently started reporting that Marvel had fired her for some reason and she was out as Scarlet Witch. I'll explain what I think is really going on with her character, because that is one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard.
What future storyline for Wanda do you want?
Well, honestly, if I were to tell you exactly what I would want, I think I would maybe be spoiling something, because Kevin Feige genuinely asks us what we want to do with the character, and then he does it. So I think I don't know if I can share, but I just want to come back.
Marvel will be doing a lot of Scarlet Witch stuff in the future movies with some specific Disney Plus series. I'll explain what that all is, because there's a very clearly defined plan for Scarlet Witch going forward. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. So I was totally caught off guard recently when some of you started sending me website articles saying Elizabeth Olsen had been fired. My immediate thought was it was total crap. Kevin Feige was quoted literally just saying that he'd work with her for another 100 years, like he went full Rick and Morty rant on Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. This is literally what he said. And this is me paraphrasing. Feige talks about his plans with the Scarlet Witch after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. She's incredibly humble and incredibly down to earth, and yet, when those cameras roll, it's a force of nature. And what about Wanda? There's really so much more to explore, he says. We still haven't touched many of her core storylines from the comics. A lot of X-Men stuff that they have coming up in the next several years. Least to say all of her storylines with Billy and Tommy when they come back as adults. When people took Kevin Feige to task about what really happened at the end of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like, did she really get crushed under that building? The way he talked about it was very ironic, like, I don't know what we actually saw under the rubble. Did we actually see her body? I saw a tower coming down in a red flash, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Obviously, he knows what it means. Sending a pretty clear signal to all the Elizabeth Olsen stans out there: if you don't see a body, cardinal rule of comics is that they're definitely not dead. And sometimes if you do see a body, like in the case of Vision during Avengers Infinity War, they can still totally come back in White Vision. Kevin Feige then ended by saying, I'd work with Lizzie for another 100 years, ending by saying, anything is possible in the multiverse. Honestly, I don't think he needed to provide the multiverse qualifier, like literally she could come back in any number of ways. Now, that interview with him was before they'd announced their plans for Agatha Coven of Chaos, which characters would be back for Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, for Secret Wars, so there was a lot of stuff they hadn't announced yet. Least to say what they were going to do with Billy and Tommy, because they were always going to bring back adult versions of those characters no matter what. The reason why I think these crazy rumors about her being fired, which I definitely think are false, I think why they started is because one website just posted an article about like a bad joke that someone made, maybe like a 4chan joke, without knowing that it was a joke. When I read their article too, some of the evidence that they cited just didn't make sense. Like, well, they're releasing a bunch of Blu-rays for the Marvel Disney Plus shows, but they didn't announce WandaVision, so they're obviously going to fire her. That just didn't make sense, because they are releasing a WandaVision Blu-ray, they're just releasing it right after the Loki one. Then I think that thing happened where a bunch of other websites just cite this one initial website, so the rumor just starts spreading even though it's complete nonsense.
The diaphragm jelly is in my glove box?
Sometimes there are rumors like that start out in really weird places that do wind up being true, like all the Deadpool 3 cameo scenes. The majority of those reports are true. Not all of them, but some of them. Usually I try to wait at least a few days when I hear stuff like this just to see if some other legit websites start reporting stuff. Then you actually know it might be a thing. Right now, the next big Scarlet Witch stories Marvel is planning to do are in Agatha Coven of Chaos. A lot of that plot is tied to what just happened with Scarlet Witch and the consequences of that in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. They're bringing back an adult version of Billy. The explanation for how he comes back in the MCU will be different for how he came back in the comics, because it was really, really twisty in the comics and didn't even make that much sense. Like, they were kind of all over the map on that. Same thing for Tommy coming back too, but just Billy is coming back during Agatha Coven of Chaos. He's going to be played by Joe Locke from Heartstopper. You've probably seen a bunch of fan art. That series is mostly going to be Agatha trying to protect Billy from another coven of witches. It sounds like Aubrey Plaza's character, who's supposed to be the main villain, will be leading them. They haven't said officially who she's playing, but it's reported that she's going to be like a brand new character based on some comic book tropes. The name they're going with is Rio Vidal, and they're calling her the first Green Witch in the MCU. Normally when people think of Green Witch in Marvel, they're thinking of the Enchantress, but she's not playing a version of the Enchantress. Anytime there's like a brand new Thor movie or a brand new Loki project, people keep asking, do you think they're going to do Enchantress in this one? Especially when Loki Season 1 was coming out, so many people had theories that Sylvie would wind up being Enchantress, but they did base some of her character on Enchantress though.
You're trying to enchant me?
No.
It won't work.
Why? Because you're a magician?
No, because my mind is too strong.
That's why some of her abilities are a little bit different from Loki's abilities. During Coven of Chaos, they're supposedly saying that during Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Scarlet Witch's chaos magic powers transported her to the Witcher's Road just as the Darkhold Temple was collapsing on her. That's what the flash of red light was meant to be. It was her chaos magic powers automatically protecting her by taking her to this alternate universe. They got into this place, the Witch's Road, in the newer Scarlet Witch comic. It's meant to be like an alternate plane of existence that only other sorcerers, magic users can go to, and she's been there since the events of Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. There were a couple reports early on that we might see the 838 universe Scarlet Witch again, and Elizabeth Olsen will be back to play her in Deadpool 3. Some of those rumors got shot down though, but the entire plot of Deadpool 3 does revolve around what happens next in the 838 universe after Multiverse of Madness. I've already done a ton of videos about that. I literally just posted another Deadpool 3 video, so I'll link those at the end of this and down in the description below because it is going to be crazy. The next really big Scarlet Witch story after that will be her returning for real in Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty. Like, they're not going to do an Avengers movie benching one of the most powerful characters they have in the MCU. That would be ridiculous. Then when Kevin Feige was teasing doing more of her comic book stories, her core stories that they hadn't gotten to yet, he was talking mostly about X-Men Mutants crossover, dealing with the Magneto of it all, more stories with her children, Billy and Tommy. Generally just expect to see way more Scarlet Witch in X-Men crossovers in the next several years. Not just the movies, but also the animated stuff, probably in the comics too, because Elizabeth Olsen is also supposed to come back in the new What If Season 2 season as her version of Scarlet Witch.
Whispering the words.
I'm not totally sure, but there might also be Scarlet Witch inside X-Men 97 Season 1, maybe Season 2, because Scarlet Witch was referenced during the original X-Men the animated series. There was also talk a couple years ago about them doing a Scarlet Witch solo movie, and that might have changed, but at the time, they would have used that to cover all the important lore that they hadn't got to in the comics yet, like adult Billy and Tommy coming back, Scarlet Witch's relationship to Magneto, her untold history with Chthon, the god of chaos. That's probably one of the biggest holes that they have just brushed over in the movies so far. Like, oh yeah, here's all this lore, here's this Darkhold temple, it was created by Chthon, the god of chaos, he's the person that also created the Darkhold. He's the reason why you have your chaos magic, and then they just kind of brushed over it. In the comics, Chthon is the god of chaos. He's the person who gave Scarlet Witch her chaos magic when she was born. He's one of the ancient elder gods of the MCU that was expelled from the main dimension a long time ago and has been trying to break back in ever since, and tries to backdoor use Scarlet Witch and the Darkhold to do that. All those references to her becoming the Scarlet Witch and ruling over the multiverse in the movie were meant to be a sly reference to that. It was all about Chthon trying to use her to take over the entire multiverse. As for Vision, I don't think that they have plans to get the two of them back together in the future. Elizabeth Olsen just made it sound like in all her interviews, emotionally, she felt like White Vision was a totally different person from her Vision and was going to focus in the MCU going forward just on her children. That was kind of the joke during Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, what was going on with 838 Vision? Where was he at? Pull out all those old Wandavision memes. So relevant now. Me and Wanda, we don't talk no more. They're giving White Vision the Vision Quest series. I'll do more videos about it when they reveal more information. He might come back during the Iron Man Armor War series because we'll see Ultron come back during that, and he's so tied to the Ultron character, it makes sense that they'd face each other again at some point. Let me know in the comments, what do you want them to do with Scarlet Witch's character going forward? I know most people will just be like, more X-Men crossovers, we want to see more X-Men stuff, we want to see more Scarlet Witch with the X-Men. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. Loki Season 2 episodes start in October after the Ahsoka episodes. I'm doing videos for all that stuff weekly. Make sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Click here for that brand new Deadpool 3 video, and click here to learn about Doctor Strange 3. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.